Hello and welcome to the Yin Yang Gemini. Trying to do this now while there's some sunlight so it's not super just orangey grainy on me the whole time. I just want to say a quick word, which if the one of you, not me, putting views on my channel will know that that is a practically an impossibility. Quick word about on Netflix, the show The Curious Creations of Christine McConnell. I respect the alliteration. I am a bigger fan of alliteration than rhyming, which is apparently kind of an older English, maybe Anglo-Saxony thing, and also promoted by J.R.R. Tolkien. So good on you for that. I think the first time I became aware of Ms. McConnell, well, I know it was through Dita Von Teese stuff that I follow. I think it might have been when she was on Cupcake Wars and was unfortunately eliminated in the first round, which was ridiculous. But from there, quick sort of Tumblr search. Someone's cuddle butt. Someone's a cuddle butt. He's a cuddle butt. Look at his face. Look at how pug face. Hold on. Okay. Sort of thing found that apparently, and I'm just speculating, she's got to be at least 100 years old because she's mastered about 5 different things. Not only baking, but like the sculpting and painting. There's pictures where you can see her. She's painted. It's a brilliant painter. So she's got painting, sculpting, baking, and then the combination of the sculpting, baking, and painting. Apparently savory dishes now too, so that's really good. Making her own clothes in a variety of ways. And woodworking apparently too. So 6. All right, I lowballed it. 6. Um, but yeah, so when I first saw that this show was going to be on Netflix, I just sort of like, oh, that's going to be kind of neat. I kind of expected some sort of like Martha Stewarty thing where or maybe something from that would rather have been on Food Network, but maybe it was a little too we don't know who you are enough. You didn't win one of our ridiculous contests, so here's Netflix. What I was not expecting, pleasantly surprised, was it's kind of got a little story to it. It almost seems to me it was like this is what you would see if Marilyn Munster had her own show after she kind of grew up and moved out of the house. There are Jim Henson creatures that this mummy cat that she was able to appropriately bring the spell to bring back to life was kind of my spirit animal a little bit. He's like so grumpy and sarcastic and has some great grumpy lines. Uh, a um, a sort of Frankenstein creature raccoon that she pieced together and apparently brought this is because the story of the show and brought back to life. Who apparently during the course of the show has talked about just banging all the dogs in the neighborhood and was trying to get fresh with some humans and stuff too. Um, and then there's this sort of like werewolf creature that they kind of bring in and adopt sort of thing, and then another creature in the basement that's almost like Spot in the Monsters underneath the stairs. Um, so like these sort of creatures, as she interacts with them, so you got a little bit of yeah, little monsters, a little Jim Henson, a little bit Mystery Science Theater 3000 because they all have different personalities and they're making different quips about stuff that's going on. There's a little bit, it almost seems like there's a little bit of kind of Good Eats Out and Brown because of the way she kind of explains what it's making in term when she's making, especially the like confectionery kind of stuff. And again, a little bit of Martha Stewarty things because again, she's also talking about some clothes that she's made and she shows even some of that as well. So it's kind of a nice and there's little kind of story things and then there's the here's how I do this and there's cool little animation showing what she's doing with that. And and I heard Dita Von Teese was going to be on it, and I just half expected, okay, well, oh look, my neighbor showed up. It's Dita Von Teese. Who knew? But she's actually sort of a character, this ghost named Vivian who lives in the mirrors, who you see later when they go out on Halloween. She's actually able to like leave the house, and someone who picks her up is someone who's almost like a Gomez looking kind of person with like a bullet hole in the head. But when she walks past, oh baby, you see she's almost got like a row of bullet holes in the back. So it was like, oh, misadventure, interesting. Um, but I mean, it's really fun to watch. Like I already sort of like that sort of, I don't know really how to describe it, sort of like high femme, but like healthy and assertive sort of thing, but with like that little twist where it's kind of, so she'll dress up in like Tim Burton sort of things if you look online with her, and she's making her own costume. She's kind of like this cosplay thing. But she makes all these own costumes, but also like this very Halloween thing, and there's sort of horror murdery puns going on, and this person that she's kind of starting to date very possibly is this like psycho murderer who kills sex offenders, and she's got this crazy cousin that she listens to the people around her instead of like the like drama. Oh no, she wouldn't do this. She listens when like Vivian and the animals are like, oh, this lady's weird, and like sets up this whole plan and gets her like to this asylum. And the raccoon is freaking out. Is going to burn down a house. He's like, what have I told you about arson? It's like, don't leave any evidence. It's like, that's right, you got your fingerprints on everything, you know better. Which is really, she does this amazing thing with all the characters where if someone's kind of like really mean or really messes up or something like that, she's still validating. And she's almost like the perfect like therapist because she's sort of like validating, but she gets her point across that you messed up, but you're still kind of a valued member of the family sort of thing. So, but she's got this assertive, this like very healthy, compassionate, assertive. I mean, she's kind of playing herself as a character, but the way that they presented it was brilliant because yeah, she's assertive, but she's very compassionate. And look at this. There's no pride here, and that's fine because he's a pug. So she's very very compassionate, very open, um, very much herself. I mean, she's very fine with who she is and what she's doing in the show, and her interactions with the other either creatures or even some of the people in there. And there's a couple little risque lines, a couple little risque kind of things. And if you pay attention, they see and they kind of make a mention or anything. But there's nothing very like openly, like blatantly that's got to be, oh, shut the kid's ears or the eyes or anything like that. It's almost like some of those cartoons, like what Walt Disney said, and then, what they would do with the Warner Brothers ones too, is like when you're a kid, you get this certain level of stuff. When you're an adult, you hear some of the other things, you're like, can't believe kids watch that. So it almost had that kind of cartoon level of two layers kind of going on with it. And it was absolutely mind blowing to watch her explain and then work on all the stuff that she worked on, uh, and everything with that too. And it was, it's like there weren't things that are overly hypersexualized. It wasn't that, okay, well, since she's a girl, then she can't do this, that, or the other thing, because she was pretty much like, oh, they tried to kill us. Well, he's taking care of it. So it was this sort of, again, it kind of reminded me of something like the Addams Family or the Munsters, with that sort of sideways kind of look at things than would be, I guess, traditionally normal, but it was still really healthy. That was the thing, especially in the Addams Family, the Addams Family Monsters you got. It was like, this is actually a healthier family than probably yours. And they're scaring the crap out of people and having sword fights or having, vampires and werewolves and creatures or whatever in or Cousin It or Thing coming out. So it was a really nice sort of mix of a lot of things, and it was really neat. And And she almost kind of had almost a feminine Bob Ross kind of vibe with it because it was her voice was very calming. It never really rose, even when there was stuff going on in the sort of plot of the show. It never really. I mean, there was a couple of things that happened where she was a little upset with it, but she was able to do what she needed to do to make it kind of right. And it was never really like threatening to either be too much one way where she'd be murdery or too much the other way where she would just collapse and then someone else had to handle it because she was some victim or something. It was like, no, it wasn't. It was very healthy, assertive, compassionate, sort of high femme. And what's good about that too is, again, I kind of keep coming to this theme. They're sort of normalizing this strong female character without her having to be a dude. It's like that thing. It was like everyone loves Arya Stark from A Song of Ice and Fire / Game of Thrones because, oh, strong female character because she's going around killing motherfuckers. Whoop. Uh, beep backwards. I don't have the technology for that. I'm 10 minutes in. I'm not going back. So, and killing dudes and swords and sword fighting and having sort of remarks and everything, but everyone bags on Sansa. And Sansa is probably more powerful than almost anyone else, and especially when you get into the show and later on with it, she's like super powerful, and she's learned all like the statecraft stuff from Peter Baelish and Cersei Lannister, and sees where they all messed up and can do it better because she's smarter and more capable. But because it was but people bag on it because it's, oh well, she betrayed her family and she did this other thing. She was raised from birth to be a princess, basically. It was like, you're the firstborn female, you're pretty, you're going to basically be a princess, highborn thing. This is what you expect, this is what you do. And then she learned and she grew from that. So it's like everyone bags on that, but that's a valid side of femininity too. Being able to think, being able to learn, being able to grow, and not have to be a guy in order to be a valid and assertive person. So I think it's a very, very good thing. And it's one of the things I like even about Dita Von Teese and everything too, is as much as people might bag on her for, oh, the burlesque stuff and whatever skin she might show or anything, that she is very much sort of self-actualized. And that's what you kind of get with Christine McConnell too. It's like, even if you just look on like Tumblr or something like that, there's not a lot that's sort of like, pornographic or risque or anything like that, but there's a little bit of skin, there's a little bit of the kind of this going on, this, that, or the other thing going on a little bit, but it's like healthier. It's assertive without having to be aggressive. It's a strong female without having to be a tough guy. So there's compassion, there's empathy, there's a lot of validation, even for people who you're just like, oh, well, these people are sort of like the trash panda Frankenstein creature, a horny raccoon or something like that. There's even validating like her. There's validating this sort of goofy werewolf. There's validating this sort of this hyper arrogant god cat. There's a lot of validation. Even the people who are trying to like kind of do her wrong, she's still kind of validating. It's like, hey, you know what? I really appreciate you did this. Maybe next time, and then kind of make that suggestion of, this is a way we can go forward in a healthier way. So, I mean, in a lot of ways, it was. I mean, it's only 6 episodes. They're like 24, 25 minutes each or something like that. You can knock it out in a day. And honestly, just watch it on Netflix. Watch it. Give it the little thumbs up because more of that needs to be out there, and not just more of that sort of healthy, balanced. And no, I mean, kind of backtrack. I kind of reversed that a little bit. I mean, not just the fact that it's sort of Halloweenish, and okay, here's cool craft and food and clothing stuff and everything like that. And okay, funny, animal puppets and everything along those lines, and oh, bad puns or sort of thing. But that healthy, balanced outlook on a person and especially normalizing that with a woman. So a strong woman character doesn't have to be, all right, well, this mom was, sexually attacked and now she's got to protect her babies, or this woman is acting like a guy, so she's got to be a strong female character, right? Like was it Carrie Ann Moss's character in Jessica Jones, or Jessica Jones, also on Netflix. It's like they're kind of acting like dudes, so they're obviously strong female characters, and any sort of thing that's not that sort of dude thing is seen as, oh, it's throwing their world out of alignment. And even guys, need to have that sort of balanced, healthy femininity in their lives as well. So you have someone who is very sort of high femme in a classy but not sterile, neutered way, is still able to embrace a multitude of the aspects of her femininity, you know, um, is very compassionate but very strong and assertive as well. So I mean, I liked it. I'm definitely going to be watching it again, maybe again even before the year's out or something like that. It's definitely cool. Definitely watch it. It's enjoyable. And then just sit there and be like, all right, this for a fact this one person did all this stuff. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she built every damn set and all the stuff that they showed, did everything that they showed and then showed it again how to do it. I wouldn't be surprised if she just did the whole damn thing. I wouldn't be surprised if she's 150 years old in order to master all this stuff. Being 30 or 40 or somewhere in between that. I haven't looked up, her vital statistics or anything like that. Um, However old she is, I mean, it's just phenomenal. I mean, she's very talented but very skilled as well. You can tell that she's put a lot of work into doing that. It's not just she relies on being kind of good at something and just runs with it. She's actually put the work in as well. Um, and you can tell that especially because some of the little tips that she gives in there is obviously like, all right, I got this from working with it, as opposed to just I'm spewing out some recipe or something along those lines. So the Curious Creations of Christine McConnell, Netflix, it's cool. I enjoyed it. Granted, again, I enjoy that sort of high femme sort of, but still kind of strong with a little twist in there with that too. Um, so I think if I think if guys become uncomfortable with that show, then that should tell you something about how fragile your masculinity is. And if there are any other ladies with guys or guys with guys or anything like that, and you see that, oh, well, they're uncomfortable with this and somehow, or they think that she's, some kind of way that's not jiving with your perspective on it, that should give you a clue about kind of where they are with their masculinity and femininity in with that as well. So, big thumbs up. I enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Trying to keep this under 20 minutes for once. And like, subscribe, all that good stuff for YouTube. And thank you. Bye.